What if I told you that the Israel-Palestine conflict, one of the most contentious issues of our time, is rooted in a question that dates back over a century? Did Israel steal Palestinian land? This question lies at the heart of a complex and enduring conflict, a tangle of historical narratives, national identities, and political ideologies. The controversy surrounding land ownership in this region is not just a matter of present-day politics. It's deeply rooted in the region's intricate past. To fully grasp the complexities of this conflict, it is essential to delve into the historical underpinnings that have shaped its course. To unravel this, we need to jump back in time and trace the footsteps of history. It's the late 19th century. The Ottoman Empire controls what we now know as Palestine. At this point, the land that we are focusing on was a melting pot of diverse ethnic groups. Arabs, Jews, and Christians lived side by side, each with their own piece of the pie. Land ownership was a complex matter, with large tracts often controlled by absentee landlords living in far-off cities like Constantinople. Enter the Zionists. Driven by a strong desire for a homeland, Jewish immigrants started flowing into the region. This was not a massive wave, but a steady trickle that began to alter the demographic landscape. The Zionists also started buying up land, often from those absentee landlords we mentioned. This influx of new settlers and the shift in land ownership began to stoke unease among the local population. Tensions simmered, disputes over land rights became common, and the stage was set for a larger conflict. The seeds of conflict were sown, but the real game changer came with the arrival of the British. Scene script: World War I ends and the British Empire takes charge, promising to create a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. Enter the Balfour Declaration of 1917, a monumental document penned by British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour. This letter, addressed to Baron Rothschild, a leader of the British Jewish community, pledged British support for the establishment of a Jewish homeland in Palestine. A game changer indeed. But the promise was double-edged. While it ignited the hopes of Jews around the world, it also stoked the fears of the Arab locals. The British, now the overlords of Palestine, began to tip the scales of land ownership. Jewish immigration swelled, and with it, the purchase of Arab lands increased. This seismic shift did not go unnoticed. The Arab locals, who had been living there for generations, watched as the landscape of their homeland began to change, and not in their favor. Tensions began to simmer, then boil, between the incoming Jewish immigrants and the incumbent Arab locals. The British, caught in a cauldron of escalating conflict, struggled to maintain control. As the British mandate ended, the United Nations stepped in, leading us into a new chapter of the conflict. 1947, the United Nations proposes a partition plan, dividing Palestine into Jewish and Arab states. This suggestion on the surface seemed fair and balanced, but it was met with mixed reactions. Jewish leaders, striving for a homeland after centuries of persecution, accepted the UN's proposition. They saw an opportunity to establish a state where Jews could live in safety and self-determination. On the other side of the coin, Arab nations vehemently rejected the plan. They viewed it as an imposition on their sovereignty and a violation of their rights. This stark difference in perspectives led to a significant escalation: the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, a conflict that not only marked the birth of the State of Israel, but also triggered a mass displacement of Palestinians. This displacement, often referred to as the Nakba, or catastrophe by Palestinians, laid the foundation for the territorial disputes we witness today. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were uprooted, their homes and lands left behind. They found themselves as refugees in neighboring Arab countries, and many continue to live in such conditions to this day. The narrative of this land, its division, and the subsequent aftermath is complex and multifaceted. It's a tale of two peoples, both with deep historical and emotional ties to the same territory, both with narratives of struggle, survival, and loss. It's a story that continues to unfold, with peace seemingly an elusive dream. The question remains: did Israel steal Palestinian land, or was it a consequence of historical events and decisions? The Israel-Palestine conflict isn't black and white. It's a layered issue, steeped in historical complexities and differing narratives. As we've journeyed through the annals of time, we've delved into the early history of the region, the influence of the British Mandate, and the outcomes of the United Nations partition. Each chapter of this story has shaped the present landscape, painting a complex tableau of conflict and coexistence. The tale of land, identity, and power isn't a simple one to tell, nor to comprehend. It's a narrative woven with threads of historical events, political decisions, and human experiences. The question of whether Israel stole Palestinian land isn't a straightforward yes or no. It's a question that demands a deep dive into the past, a willingness to understand different perspectives, and an openness to engage in nuanced conversations. The importance of understanding the historical context cannot be overstated. It's the cornerstone for making sense of the present and for envisioning a peaceful future. As we continue to grapple with this question, it's vital to remember, peace begins with understanding, and understanding begins with history.